Okay. Hello again, dear students. So now we will cover community language learning approach, to foreign language teaching, like learning. So this approach method was developed by Charles Curran, So he was a specialist in counseling, professor of psychology in Loyola University, Chicago. So counselor is a person who gives an advice, assistance, and support to another. So who has a problem or in need, for example, So this approach is based on counseling learning approach, So another scholar was a LaForge, who he also elaborates on the interactional view of language underlying community language learning. So he mentions that language is about people, is about persons in contact, again, is about persons in response. It's about interaction. Then CLL, community language learning, we can further call CLL. Interactions are of two kinds, he mentions interactions between learners and interactions between learners and knowers. Okay, so background of this approach, So here, consider students should be considered as whole persons. We shouldn't only focus on academic features, academic principles, but we should cover students as a whole person by also considering their emotions, feelings, learning styles, everything. Okay, so counseling learning approach developed by Curran, he found that adults often threatened by a new learning situations, by the change, and they will appear foolish, because they might think that other people can criticize them and also laugh at them, So to deal with it, teachers should become language counselors who is a skillful understander of the struggle students face in foreign language learning, So he was influenced by Carl Rogers' humanistic psychology, So described as humanistic techniques, blending what the student feels, thinks, and knows with what he's learning in the target language. It directly linked with psychology, humanistic psychology. So objectives of this approach: learning how to use target language communicatively. Again, oral proficiency is important. So learning about your own learning, you should know your learning style, Then learning how to learn from one another, cooperative learning, then could be accomplished by if a teacher and student treat each other as a whole person, valuing both thoughts and feelings, Then learning achieved collaboratively, So teacher and student roles. So dependency goes to mutual interdependency, So counselor, or teacher acts as a counselor, not only language focus, also support in first, second, and third stages. But about accuracy is kind of learned in fourth stage. Fluency is acquired by the end, Then teacher acts as a counselor and the learners as clients, So key features: conversation using the native language can be accepted in the early stages of language learning. Giving the target language translation in chunks, the group of words are recorded and replayed. Transcript of the conversation, native language equivalent to becomes a text. Students work with it in the class. Then examination of a grammar point, working on pronunciation of a particular phrase, and also creating new sentences with words from the transcript is important. So Karen, he mentions 6 elements for non-defensive learning. First one is security. The learner should feel himself or herself secure. Then attention, learner should be able to pay enough attention to a new language. Then aggression, but it means another different thing, where learner should be actively involved in the learning process, should answer with a question. Then retention, integration of a new material, and the reflection, reflecting on the new material, kind of. Then discrimination element, sorting out the differences among target language forms, is important. Then teacher-student interaction, students are assertive, teacher acts as a facilitator, which makes the learning process easier, Then teacher provides the direction, structures the class. Then CLL is neither student-centered nor teacher-centered, but rather teacher-student-centered approach, with both being decision makers in the class. Yeah, which was mentioned by Rardin and Tranel in 1988. Then language and culture aspect. So here, sharing and belonging between persons through the language tasks. Focus shifts more to the target language, which becomes the group's individual and shared identity. In this kind of supportive learning process, language becomes the means for developing creative and critical thinking, again, which was mentioned by Curran in 1976. Then culture is an integral part of language learning. Is viewed as an integral part of language learning. Then emphasized areas of language and skills. Here, understanding and speaking of the language at the beginning phases, with reinforcement through speaking and reading in the later stages. Then, based on the language the students have generated, particular grammar points, pronunciation patterns, and vocabulary are emphasized. Then, role of the student's native language here. So the student's native language is bridge from known to unknown in order to be able to sustain security. Then student's native language is less used in stages, like in third and fourth stages, yeah. Then techniques, tape recording student conversation, transcription, reflection on experience, reflective listening, human-computer self-correct, small group tasks, translation, analysis, free conversation, yeah, are implemented. CLL lesson and syllabus. So here, in fact, there is no theoretical base for this approach. There is more practical one, more psychological approach. Progression is topic-based again, yeah. So teacher's responsibility is providing a convenience, comfort in the class. Interaction between the learners' expressed communicative intentions and the teacher's reformulations of this into suitable target language utterances. Specific grammatical points again, lexical patterns, generalizations are emphasized. Syllabus is based on interaction. Textbook is not considered as a necessary component. Materials may be developed by the teacher. Conversation is transcribed and distributed for study and analysis. Learners may produce their own materials, scripts, mini dramas, mini dialogues, maybe, yeah. Let's talk about advantages and disadvantages. So, okay. So let's firstly consider disadvantages. Yeah, teachers shouldn't implement the method without special training because again, there is a risk to make students feel stressed. Yeah, then lack of a syllabus which makes objectives unclear really, and evaluation difficult to accomplish. Yeah, so then focus is on the fluency, not accuracy, which may lead to the inadequate control of the grammar. Consular teacher can become too non-directive. Students often need directions. Then translation is an intricate and difficult task. The success of the method relies largely on the translation expertise of the counselor. Then learning, yeah, centers on the learner. Stress the humanistic side of language learning, which is really kind of new at that time, yeah. Then feeling of security is important, feeling free. Then CLL is an attempt to overcome the threatening affective factors in EFL and ESL, which tries to lower the anxiety level, yeah. Then counselor allow the learners to determine type of conversation and to analyze the language inductively, yeah, based on the situations, topics. So, and also one more homework. Could you please analyze the class based on community language learning approach, pages starting from 94 to 98, Larson Freeman, techniques and principles in language teaching, yeah? This is the end of the topic, yeah? That's it.